Hello, Megan.
Hello, Michelle.
Welcome to the Spicy Brain podcast. Where we are navigating neurodiversity with curiosity, joy, and
radical acceptance.
high kick. So welcome to anybody who's new. We're so glad you're joining us. We do have a lot of new listeners coming in, so thank you guys. It's really exciting to have you here. And for those of you who are returning, you know we love you guys so much. You're the best. We get so much feedback and just kind of really interesting questions and statements, and we just love it every time we get to talk to y'all who've listened to it and have your take on things. So usually what we do is we're kind of going through a book of some sort, and usually around, recently it's been around ADHD. This one's actually kind of more complex issues, not just ADHD, brain-based disorders, as well as anything that's metabolic disorder, something that would be chronic. And the title of this book is The Essential Guide to Raising Complex Kids. And that is by Elaine Taylor Klaus. And so what was interesting, we were asked to do a parenting book, right? And, usually we have some kind of story, and we then dig into your brain or my brain, and then we try to have strategies, although not always. We don't always get to that. We're not professionals, right? We're just
sisters.
But,
oh my God, Michelle, that's so cute. You could be like, you say the phrase, we're not professionals, and then I answer with, we're just sisters. That's so cute.
It's like a call and response. I love it. I love it. So anyway, with this book, what's interesting to me is you kind of brought up this idea of it's not just like parenting your kids, it's also parenting sort of your inner yourself,
your inner child. Yeah.
Right.
It's like, once you hit 18, everyone says like, you're an adult. And it's like all of a sudden you're supposed to. I remember being 18 and like I couldn't go to my pediatrician anymore. And I was like, could we just have like a little bit of like a buffer?
They do now.
But
they do now.
Do they?
Yes.
Oh.
They can go until they're off their parents' insurance, I think. Now.
Oh, good. Because you've been with this pediatrician.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, go off on a soapbox for a minute, but I've been with a pediatrician, and it's like I hit 18, and then all of a sudden it's like I'm supposed to go to somebody new. And I'm still
Did you
like,
have Dr. Bean?
I did.
We loved Dr. Bean. I don't know.
Yeah, Dr. Bean. And they were like, it was so great. And then I had to get to somebody new. And I'm like, gosh, you guys, like the way to just like kick somebody out and be like, well, now you're 18. Suck it. Sucks to suck. Suck it. Like, come on.
So this chapter we're in, we're still kind of in the first chapter. So this is like full disclosure to anybody who's new. We try to do a chapter every podcast, and then it ends up being like 4 podcasts per chapter because we get into talking. So sorry ahead of time. We'll tell you that we'll get to something, but
we don't need to apologize, Michelle. Just
That's
like
true.
you said, I don't need to apologize for my brain, because I was going to, remember I was like, should I let everybody know that I'm like super ADHD today? And you're like, no, we don't need to apologize for your brain. And I don't think we need to apologize for the structure, because, some chapters are a lot more meaty than other chapters are. And so
I agree.
I think it's important to like go, I mean, I know that she goes into all of these in great detail, but like it's such a good experience for us to kind of get our first take on it. And then we can come back to it and be like, oh, that's even more interesting. It gives us a chance to like percolate.
Okay. I like it. So we're starting the coffee pot early. And I'm going to tell you right now, we're going to talk about one of the challenge areas. So there's 6 challenge areas, she says, and she kind of alludes to it in the first chapter, but I think later on in the book she talks more about it. But picking one area, okay, that's going to be problematic would be what you would maybe think about. So we have talked already about emotional management, that the kids who have complex issues, adults as well, right, who have complex chronic conditions that are either brain-based or biologically based, which we really love that language, because that I deal with metabolic stuff, with food allergies. You and I both deal, I mean, I don't know that you have food allergies specifically, but you definitely deal with all of the brain-based stuff, maybe more so than I do, but like we both have these things going on in some capacity. And so there's these 6 areas. So emotional self-regulation and emotional management is one of them. And then there's the organization. We talked about that last time, and how that impacts home and school is another challenge area. That managing what's expected of them, right?
Yeah.
And today I want us to talk a little bit about logistics and relationships. Okay, so if we get to both. But the first one she says
logistics.
is challenge area 4 is logistics. And this has all to do with routines, which I know you're going to have so much to say about this. But so this is an indication that this might be an issue for your family or for your inner child or whatever, your fur babies, if morning and weekend, afternoons, bedtimes, school breaks are harder than you quote unquote think they should be.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so basic routines seem impossible to do consistently.
Ah, it's so true.
Yeah. They require this complex human in your life require constant reminders to stay on task or to do anything. Despite frequent reminders, they don't think sequentially or remember to use systems you have created.
That is true. These systems people create, like I can't do it on, I have to make my own system. And even then I can't remember it.
Getting them off technology is near to impossible.
Yeah.
And reward systems rarely work for long or at all, which I thought
it's true.
We've talked about this before, and I think that one's very interesting. And then they struggle to use simple processes to help life run more smoothly. Okay. I'm going to say something here.
Oh,
yeah. I'm going to say something here. I know.
Let me brace myself.
Yes.
Gird your loins, people.
I'm going to say something here.
I'm ready.
Logistics is like my entire job at work. Okay? That's all I do all day long. And want to know why I'm very good at it?
Why? You have a butler? That's awesome.
Yes. But I have a million butlers, and we talked about this before. I'm very good at being other people's butlers also. So I'm going to say this to anybody who's listening that maybe is not ADHD, but maybe has some other complex issue like I do. I'm definitely neurospicy. But if you love somebody who has ADHD specifically, I'm just going to say you understand that you might also be their butler. And that gives you some superpowers because you've had to be your own butler and their butler potentially, right? And I'm going to say with the logistics piece of this, I think this impacts relationships and can impact relationships. That all these logistical things can interfere with your marriage, can interfere with your relationship with your kids, relationship with your pets, relationships in general. So I think these are connected.
How do you deal with the stress of having multiple butlers in your brain?
Well, sometimes really well. And I did really well before I went to therapy and did EMDR. I could compartmentalize the crap out of all that. And I've had trouble since then doing that. And so it's actually, I'm having to let go, which is good. Like I'm having to acknowledge, like, I can't be everybody's butler. And I can't, you know what I mean? Because it's a kind of a control piece too, right? Sometimes. And, things seem chaotic when you grow up in a house where, maybe people around you are ADHD, but you're not necessarily. You're trying to make sense of it or make sense for them of things that don't make, for whatever reason, don't work with your maybe slightly more neurotypical. I don't even know if I am neurotypical, but you know what I mean? Like that concept of, and I think you try to control stuff. And so it ends up being, ultimately a strategy that is not self-serving necessarily in the end for me anyway.
Yeah, I mean, you said that they talk about how the second challenge area is organization and how they leave a trail behind them that they don't seem to notice, you know.
And so you try to come up with routines for people. And you're like, we're going to do this, then we're going to do this, then we're going to do, your kids, right? Like with Josh, I'll always have these routines that I'm trying to set in place. And it is just, it almost never sticks. No matter.
Well, it doesn't.
No.
I mean, that's the thing is
and you just have to get over it because they're wonderful human beings and it's never going to be when you're the one trying to make the routine, it can be really, really frustrating. Right. And so I'm sure it's frustrating for you trying to create your own routines too. I don't mean that when you're trying to parent yourself. But
no, I'm just, No, I'm just actually more curious at the moment because how have you found that you're able to let go of that routine at all, or like you were saying, because like she says, like you struggle to use simple processes to help life run more smoothly, and this idea that like routines seem impossible to do consistently.
Well, I keep my routines. That's what I've changed. No, but I mean, I'm saying that not facetiously. I'm saying that like I've learned I keep my routines and I ask for my routines to be kept. I try not to make routines for him. Does that make sense?
Gotcha.
Like, there's things we need to do in the home, and I have a requirement that there is a certain time when we all do the things together. That's the other thing. We body mirror a lot. So it's like we're all cleaning at the same time. We're all doing our laundry at the same time. We're all, you know what I mean? So there's that piece of it. But I've let my routines get disrupted. And that's what I've learned I have to like be more conscious of.
Interesting.
Yeah, I keep mine. Because the routines matter to me. They do not matter to him at all.
No.
It does not. And in fact, it's, but like if I'm like, I need this to happen at 1 and we all need to be there together and I need you to respect my boundary with that, then I realize it's not about getting him to ever think at 1 o'clock he would do it himself. It's that's a routine I need. And so we're going to do that. And he's respectful. And I don't, it's negotiated, right? It's not like, and it's not out of the blue. And it's not like, get up and do stuff. But it's like, this is what needs to happen.
Yeah. I mean, and that's like what's happened with like, let's say you and I on Saturdays when we podcast, like, we've talked about, we had a whole episode about boundaries and, I think you finally kind of gave me your boundaries and realized like that was important to keep your routines. And so I'm starting to recognize, okay, if we're going to do it that day, then this is what I need to do in order to get myself ready for you to meet your boundary. And I do think about like the morning routine boundary, like, or not boundary, but like the morning routine.
Yeah.
Cause I should all over myself when it comes to that, like just to get out of the house.
Yeah.
So we've talked about this, guys. People who've been longtime listeners know that my struggle to get out of the house is very real.
Yeah.
And I literally like every time I go and I'm like, there's always something I forget, always. And it doesn't matter. It just like, I just can't. But the one thing now is like, I have not lost my wallet because I put it around my neck. Like I still have the same wallet. I was like, this actually works out perfectly. And I was thinking like, gosh, could I put everything around my neck? Like, can I put like a little hole in my chapstick so that it can go around my neck? Like, I mean, all these things that like,
I'm sure there's like a hiking version of that for sure,
I'm sure there is, but then
then
you're
you have
adding
to think about
bulk
it.
and weight, and then also like it's not the right kind of chapstick, and it's a whole thing. But
no, I just meant like a holder because you're in water, like it would be just a holder for your chapstick. Anyway, doesn't matter. I'll send you a link.
I see.
Yeah. But okay. Yeah. Everything around your neck. I kind of like took that to the like ADHD illogical conclusion. So I was just thinking well, all of a sudden I was just seeing like the pugs around your neck. I was seeing like, you know what I mean? Like just your iPad around your neck. Like I was going extreme. Sorry.
Honestly, no, but like if I could do that,
right,
that would be amazing.
I mean, I remember you saying like, I'm so glad you're like my head's attached. You know what I mean? Like I'm glad my brain like is like with me at least. Cause I might leave it somewhere.
No, it's true. Well, because remember how I used to carry Stella, our little miniature pincher? I carried her. Yeah. And so then I remembered her all the time. Like I always remembered her because she was around my neck. Dude, I wonder if that would actually work instead of having like a side saddle, like not a side, like a side crossbody bag. If I had like a one that just goes in the front, like would that
You're
work,
going to have
you
a
think?
baby Bjorn. That's what that is.
Yes. I'll have a baby Bjorn for all my stuff. That would be because then I can see it. It's right there. It's like, look, I have all my belongings.
Actually, I lived in Japan for 2 years and they almost always like carry their backpacks on their front, especially when they're in big areas because they don't want to hit anybody. They want to know. Yeah, they're very polite.
Do you know what? My New York City brain went, yeah, you don't want anyone to steal anything. And then it's like, you can literally leave your wallet on the train and it will still be there in Japan because they're so
good. I know. It's true. I mean, a friend of mine lost her wallet. They sent her wallet back. They shipped it to her. No, what did they do? They sent her they sent her a message saying they had left it at this place, and they sent her a train ticket with it because they knew she was going to have to come back to get it. So they paid for her train ticket to go find her wallet. Yeah, it was like the crazy. Yeah, just so nice. And they're very respectful in that way in general, I would say. So I want to go to this point, though, that she says about the logistics, because all of these things, right? Why you want everything around your neck is because it's just the routine of like picking up the stuff and putting it, it's organization, but it's also routine, right? Both of those things. Mm-hmm. But struggling to use simple processes to help life run more smoothly. And the word simple kind of hits me because I think that's where the judgment comes in. Sometimes like this is so simple. Why aren't you able to do it? And it's like, well, that's actually the brain-based disorder part of it, right? Like my brain doesn't, like one thing itself is simple, but doing them in order is not.
I just got incensed. You're right. Yes. It's like, what were we talking about the other week about, like for school, and they say, if they could turn their work in as if it was easy. Like just turn your work in. It's so simple. It's so easy.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
And it's like not understanding that is, it's
not
like
easy.
Like my body doesn't process gluten. Your body doesn't process tasks.
Michelle,
in order,
why can't you just eat this piece of bread?
Yeah.
Like I made this for you.
Right. Why can't you just regulate your sugars?
It's like, okay, let's take it to the base. Like you're in a wheelchair. Well, why can't you just reach that top shelf? Mm-hmm. Just go reach it. Mm-hmm. Like, would you ever say that to, no. If you did, you'd be a Jake.
And then like, why can't you just read my emotions?
Right.
Right. And I think that, I don't know, like when we're thinking about it, this book is really talking about all types of complex chronic, like they're not going to change conditions, and you're trying to raise a child, you're trying to raise yourself, right? If you're trying to learn how to adult and parent yourself, that is going to have to deal with this forever, right? It's not for their whole lives. So this is what this book is about, is trying to figure out like what are the areas that you want to start with, right? With this, because there's so many.
You're reminding me, Michelle, that like I have to say this because I forgot about it last time. The word chronic. For many of us who were born in the 80s and 90s, the going theory at that point was that you would grow out of ADHD. And that was that they did not believe that adults had ADHD.
Right. Or that girls did.
Or that girls did.
Yeah, girls couldn't have it either.
Girls couldn't have it, and boys will be boys and they'll grow out of it.
They'll grow out of it.
So for any of us who are in that generation, you're also going to deal with the fact that you have been told your entire life, you'll grow out of it. And this is a chronic issue. This is chronic. Guys, I cannot say it enough. If you are somebody with ADHD, this is chronic. And that doesn't mean you're bad. It doesn't mean you're stupid. It doesn't mean you're lazy. It means that you are just have a different brain than society will allow.
Yeah, I mean, if you have a learning
problem,
well, if you have a learning disability, nobody thinks you're going to grow out of. Like, I have dyslexia. Nobody thinks I'm going to grow out of dyslexia. I agree. Yeah. I think ADHD has a harder time. That particular diagnosis, it's harder because people have been telling you. And if you have a sensory processing disorder, you're oppositional defiant, you're autistic, you have depression. I say all the time, like I'm either exercising or I'm medicated. It's like one of the two. Because I if I don't exercise, then I definitely need more support with that, because that is a chronic thing. Same thing if you have diabetes, you have celiacs, food allergies, like these things don't go away, generally speaking.
They don't. And and like, oh, gosh, now with like autism being, it was caused by mom is the reason that baby has autism. It's just like, oh, come on.
Yeah.
Like, this is like our society. Come on, guys. Like, let's just, I don't want to, it just makes me, I want to curse and I want to scream because it's just like,
Yeah.
Yeah. It reminds me of that lady in the show Ghosts, Hetty, who's like the Victorian era ghost. If any of you have seen it, it's on NBC. It's a hilarious show. And she is just like this woman who has all of these societal things that she's talking about, and everything has to be, proper.
So.
And I feel like that's what our society is. It's like, it's this stuck up Victorian woman who just has all these ideas of how life should be.
And I think when you think of that, it makes sense that one of the other challenge areas is relationships, right? Because if there's all these ways things should be, then, it can cause a lot of tension. And so she talks about like that tensions are high at home, explosions are not uncommon from kids or parents. I'm curious, you talk about the inner child part, but it's probably not uncommon. You talked last podcast about Brian getting diagnosed. You got permission, that your husband has given permission for us to talk about it. And I've been given permission by Josh to talk about, his relationship with me and what's, I think I'm mostly just outing myself as to like all the things I feel like I've done crazy, but explosions are not uncommon. And I would say that was definitely true for me with Josh, especially when he was very little. Yeah. You worry your child doesn't know how to keep or make friends. That was huge for him growing up at the beginning. He would have these great friends, and then all of a sudden they would be gone. And parents would be telling me like, we don't think Josh, we're not sure, if he's the right kind of kid for our kid, so there was times for that. Oh. You might disagree with your co-parent about how to best support your child, and your marriage may suffer. And I think this is something that we probably could have a whole other book about marriages and ADHD, but this is interesting. Babysitters can't handle your kids.
Well, because babysitters are usually not even 18. So like, you're putting a complex kid in the hands of a child.
Yep. And you love your kids, but sometimes you or your spouse check out because you don't feel connected to the child, I think was her point in that book. And it's like, yeah, God, that's hard sometimes. So hard.
But that's okay. I mean, there are times like where
we don't feel connected to anybody in our friend group or
in
whatever.
Our marriage. Yeah. I mean, like there are times where like, I don't feel connected to you. Like, but that's the thing. I think it's like, that's the fallacy of this kind of like, you put all your eggs in one basket, like that. The movies have made these relationships so Hollywoodified. That's not a word, but I'm making it one. Yeah. That like, that every second of every day you're thinking about each other.
Right? Like even though not romantic, but romanticized. Yeah.
Yeah. We've romanticized even friendships, because you'll see a montage, right? And like the montage shows people
all the best moments.
Yeah. Again, it's the Pinterest. It's the Pinterest of it all.
That would be really funny though, to have a montage of all the worst moments.
Like, I'm gonna kill you.
You let me down. I'm disappointed.
Because I mean, that's life. And like the only way someone can really hurt you is if you love them and you care about them.
Yeah.
So it's actually, in a way, if someone's upset with you, it's in a weird way, it is a sign of affection, and it tells you that they really care about you.
I think you struggled, as I remember when you were a kid, like there were definite struggles with friends, but I felt like you had really good friends as well. So it's like, did you feel you had, I mean, I always remember like there were people, but they were kind of in your life like a blue flame. You know what I mean? They were there, but they were like, it flamed out pretty quick sometimes. And not all of them, right? But like, I felt like as you got older, it's like the relationships lasted longer and longer.
I will help you.
Okay, thanks.
I will help you since I am here. So,
hey, wait a minute.
First off,
wait a minute.
What? Yes.
I know you're here.
Yeah.
So I know you're here. I see you.
Okay.
Okay. I see
Well,
you. I just want to make sure we're connected here in this moment, because I was saying something that it sounded like it came across as rude to you, and I did not mean to. So I just want to make sure we're like, are we here? Because I don't want to.
Yeah.
Did I do that? I'm being curious, honestly, right now.
I think you were speaking for me, and I
Okay.
actually have something very specific about that.
Okay,
and
great.
it's not a lot of, like, maybe from your perspective it seemed that way,
Okay.
but from my perspective, like, so like when it comes to friends, right? I
Yeah.
had these girlfriends in the neighborhood that, you know, I had known for
Mm-hmm.
very long. Like we'd been, we'll say friends, like we were all like the girls club and the best friends.
Yeah.
And it was purely through proximity.
Mm.
It had nothing to do with us actually liking each other or getting along with each other.
Mm.
And I mean, you know, we tried, but like I struggled. Like, if honestly, if we hadn't been right next door, and I think had mom not been able to iron things out, or, you know, whatever it was, like, or like there was just nothing else to do, and it's like, well, you just kind of deal with it. I think had there been iPads and tech, you know, we would never have been friends. And I remember very specifically in 8th grade, like feeling like during middle school, like things just like we kind of fizzled out like over time. And I remember very specifically thinking to myself, like, I would not be friends with this person if I had chosen to be friends with this person.
Right. Right. Mm-hmm.
So it was purely a friendship of convenience, but it was also a very hard friendship for me. Like it did not come easy to me. And we had like little tasks and things. I'm sure that mom was probably a huge reason why I maintained those friendships as long as I did. But like once I kind of got out of, you know, like grade school and went into middle school and then into high school, I didn't have, like, I have kind of a similar situation here, like where I would have really good friends and then they'd flame out. Or that's why I knew almost everybody. I was sort of like that social butterfly because I could never just like maintain a real relationship with somebody. I think my junior and senior year, like I did finally get a best friend, but then even that fizzled out freshman year in college because I didn't know how to communicate.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, so we, you know, and it fizzled out pretty spectacularly, actually.
Mm-hmm.
And I still think about this person and I still care about them. And I want to say, like, I find myself like wanting to write a letter to her and just, you know, saying all the things that I couldn't say and just apologizing for like the challenges that I brought to our relationship. But I feel that way. I feel that way about friends. And like, I could sort of, you know, I found ways to connect with people, but it was much easier to connect with them on a surface level. And going beyond surface, like I knew everybody, I knew a little bit of everybody by the end of it, but like I never knew anybody really well, except for one person.
That is interesting. And I want to just like slow down and apologize. We did promise ourselves if we like stepped in it with each other, on this podcast, we would just stop for a minute and make sure like one or the other of us was okay. And I want to just tell you that I apologize for like kind of bringing it up in what you heard me saying was speaking for you, and I'm sorry that came across that way, because this is such a big topic, actually. And an important one, I think, because and I can feel the emotion coming through the screen, because obviously we're in different places, but I can feel it. So I just want to stop for a minute and just let you know I apologize for not being more sensitive and more curious about you and just asking a question instead.
I appreciate it.
Yeah.
I think that's the hard part about all of this. And I thank you for stopping. And I think that this is the challenging part this is why it's complex, right? Because we can be talking about organization and there's not really a lot of like, yes, I get fired up, but it's not as deep as like, let's say relationships are, you know, because like depending on what challenges. Like, I mean, I did have stuff around organization a while back, but like right now it's not as difficult for me.
Yeah.
And so I think it's easy to kind of like, the routine has sort of been like, you bring up a story for us and like kind of like what you remember of it all. And that's sort of been this like little routine of what we do. But I don't like to follow routines. I abhor them apparently. So
yeah.
I think it's a great example of like how we can do that with each other, which is good.
Yeah. And I think also that's sometimes also why we do just like one topic, because we don't know where it's going to go, and we have to like be really gentle with each other, because one or the other of us has sometimes a lot of it, especially when you talk about parenting. For me, it's like, okay, I'm feeling things, right? And it was very hard to watch as a parent. I think, and to feel it, and it's on two levels, which is also strange, or maybe multiple levels, but the two that I'm thinking of, it's like you're watching your kid and your heart aches for them. So like when you're talking about it, my heart aches for you, that was so hard. And I remember being there with you at times, and how lonely I think I perceived you. And then I looked at my kid going through it, and I felt like helpless. And as a parent, that's like just the worst feeling of being like, what do you do? Right. And then you get ostracized oftentimes as a parent as well from the other parents, and your kid gets ostracized or whatever. And so it becomes like hard to know who to trust and who to talk to about things. And all of that gets to be more complex. And so it impacts relationships in a lot of ways, and sometimes can impact your relationship with your kid if you're not, if you're shaming them about it, maybe not purposefully, but there's like, well, why can't you just keep a friend, or why can't you just just whatever it is?
Why can't you just? Yeah, it's so simple. It's so easy.
Simple,
this
so
is all
easy.
you have to do. It's so why can't you just keep your mouth quiet, Megan? It's so easy to like sit in a show, and just. And Mom was actually telling me about that from a parenting point of view. Like when I was younger, it was like there was always conversations of, well, oh, Megan, Megan. It was like people telling her, oh, it's just, it's a shame about Megan, and what are you going to do about Megan? And it's like, wow, what a fucked up thing.
To be
awful.
free to tell somebody that their kid, whatever your opinion is about that kid, right? Like, it's just and I don't, again, like other chronic conditions, I'm not sure somebody would say that about somebody with celiacs.
I mean, honestly, though,
maybe.
like
I don't know.
I think that any disability, it's like, oh, it's like it's a pity thing. Either it's like, what are you going to do, or it's like, I'm going to pity you. Like, oh, it's so hard having a kid in a wheelchair. Oh my gosh, like, poor thing. And it's like, like I think it's more of the what is that word? Like, it's the judgment. It's the judgment that goes along with whatever they're saying, right? So it's either they're judging you because they feel pity for you, they're judging you because you can't get something done. It's like whatever that, it's like, what right do you have to look into my life and judge me? Like, ask me, be curious, and say, hey, how's it going? How's Megan? What's going on? How's your kid who's, disabled? How's the food
How's
going?
it going?
Whatever it is.
Yeah. How are you?
Be curious.
How about also, how are you? How are you doing?
Sure.
Yeah. Something.
Yeah.
I think when you're saying that, what's interesting to me is that I think there's a lot of judgment for parents in general, but when you're raising a complex kid, the level of difficulty is higher. And so it's like, I think you had said something about like, it's like, for anyone who's trying to do this thing that has a brain-based disorder, if you give them a 10-pound thing that they're supposed to hold, it feels like it's 20. And I think that's true when you're raising a complex kid and somebody says something like that. There's judgments all the time about things, but now you're having a hard time also So oftentimes, at least for me, I wasn't feeling very confident about my parenting. And now somebody's saying something very overt and direct as well. And it's confirming that bias, right? It's confirming your worst fears. It's confirming your own insecurities about your parenting. And it makes it just that much harder. And it's just not needed at all. It's not needed to do it to yourself, and it's not needed to be around people who are doing it to you. Like, put them on the other side of the fence. Like, they do not need to be in your yard. They don't need to come in. They don't need to have permission to come in and say all these kinds of things, because life is hard enough. When you have a complex kid who's got complex, things and chronic, you don't need that.
Well, and as we're talking about this, I find this, the fact that like I've sort of said, okay, adulting is parenting yourself.
Yeah.
And I'm finding more and more as we're talking that it seems like the issues that the complex kid has are also the same issues that the parent has, just in a different way. So she says the kid has a hard time relating to family members who don't understand them. And I would think the parents have a hard time relating to family members who don't understand what they're going through. You disagree with your co-parent about the best way to support. Well, yeah, you also disagree with maybe family members or loved ones who are trying to be helpful. Like I can see that babysitters can't handle your kids. Well, you know what? Sometimes you can't handle your kids either. Like, it's okay for it. Like, sometimes I can't handle myself. Like, even I'm just like, I give up, and it's a tough one.
And I think when, you kind of brought in the families, which is like that sixth challenge area. So the is interesting is that this is where she says, this is not what you expected when you became a parent.
Yeah.
And that idea of kind of having to grieve what is versus what you thought would be. Or maybe you have another kid who that wasn't an issue for, and this now is something you're dealing with for the first time. Or maybe all your kids, you have this issue. I mean, like, it's, everyone has a different thing. And you keep waiting for things to get better. And this one I really, really identified with. Like, even with you, this is from my perspective, so not speaking for you, but my perspective of my relationship with you was that I kept thinking you were going to grow out of it, and I was waiting for this to get better, and it never did, right? And it never has with Josh either, and it's just different. It changes as the seasons in your life change and your brain changes, but it's still a chronic thing that you still deal with.
And ironically, like, when we stopped waiting for it to get better, our relationship got better.
Yes. 100%.
And
yes.
My ability to deal with my chronic issue got better. So in a weird way, it's like it did actually get better. It got easier, but it has to be on my terms. Like no, that's wrong. It has to be, it can't be the trajectory that you expected, that, society tells you it's going to be.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
This is not the kid that you expected when you became a parent. And this is not the life that I expected when I was a kid. So both the parent and I have to grieve what I expected and what you expected, right? And then I kept waiting for things to get better. I'm like, well, surely, like, I get out of my 20s and it'll get better.
Yeah.
Well, surely after a while and it never got better because I never addressed it. And as soon as we started addressing it and actually talking about it openly and surrounding myself with people who also understood it and loved it and got it, then it got better.
Well, because you're not alone.
Yeah.
Right? Minimally. And you're like actually figuring out the things. You're willing to be curious about the strategies that work for you, because it's so individual for every single person. Like, everything we keep reading, I'm like, you'll be like, yeah, but that doesn't work for me. And I'm like, right, because everyone's got their own individual issues with with whatever the chronic disorder is. So it's, you have to,
And
you yourself are the only one who's going to know for your kid or for your inner child or for whatever it is, what the real answer is going to be, because you're going to observe whether it helps you or not.
yeah. And go back to your ed psych training, Michelle, right? We all learn differently.
Yes.
So not only are we all individuals, but we all learn in a different way and we all process in a different way. So our learning and our processing can be two totally different things. Like, so that's why it's complex.
And I think
And
from a
that's
parenting point of view, how you learn information, your kid learns information could be complete opposites. Right? Like Josh only can learn through reading, basically. Like I'm super auditory and verbal. Like so it helps him not at all. Like if I don't text it to him, he doesn't get it. And that's taken me a long time to learn. And I want to say two things. One is, in this chapter, I really liked that she said a couple of things about the feelings part, because that's something we don't shy away from. But that oftentimes parents are just feeling really frustrated, disappointed, sad, guilty, or aggravated, and you're just exhausted. So like, I think that could be true about before we started addressing things directly as well. It's just this very aggravating thing, and because you're not talking about it openly and you're not being curious. And I think this idea that parents are supposed to be grateful all the time for their kids, right? But that there's this like little secret she talks about of like, you just sometimes wish it would all go away. Yeah. And having to say that, like, as a parent, like, I just wish, I don't mean that. I don't mean I don't want him, but the complexity of it. Yeah. Like sometimes it would be nice if it was simpler. Right. And I think having to say that's really hard.
But I think it's so important to say it and to own it, because when we don't say it and we don't own it, then it comes out in microaggression.
Oh, yeah.
And so I think because,
or aggression.
Yeah. I mean, but I think, maybe microaggression is not the right word, but it comes out.
It's clear to the kid.
Yes. People are saying it even if they're not physically saying it.
Yeah.
So it was clear to me that who I was not okay.
Yeah.
And had we just been able to like deal with that and say, hey, this is really hard. Your challenges are very difficult for me. And I can get frustrated. We can get disappointed, aggravated, exhausted. If all of those things had been okay for people to have said, then there could have been that conversation of, but that doesn't mean that you are exhausting and you are a disappointment. It doesn't mean that you should feel guilty. It just means that's how I'm feeling right now. And that's for me to hold and not for you to hold.
Yeah, because they do hold it. The kids do. Yeah. You talked about this a lot, about kind of internalizing that to such a degree that it was really not healthy for you.
Yeah, it wasn't. And it comes out. The body, there's a great book called The Body Keeps the Score. And it's true. Like your body keeps track of every trauma that you've ever been with. And been in, and like your behaviors, like I just, I am a princess in a pea. That's always what it was. It was like, I'm the princess in the pea and I can feel everything. And so like, I felt guilty. Remember, Michelle, like Christmas time, I felt guilty to like tell you that I needed something else.
Yeah.
Because once again, Megan, you're just being this, like, it's just so simple to fall asleep. It's so easy. Like, and it wasn't you saying it. It was all of the shoulds that I have heard throughout my life of like, it should be this simple. It should be this easy. You should be able to fall asleep. And then I felt guilty to have to even bring it up. And it's to the point like where she says, sometimes you don't want to go home. And as a parent, I can understand that, because as a an adult who has to parent myself and knowing the state of my home, many a times I did not want to go home because I didn't know how to deal with it. And I didn't know how to like, I mean, and that's something I talked to my therapist about a lot, about like how I struggled to maintain a connection in my home. I didn't want to ever be there. And then the pandemic happened and then I had to be there. And I was like, well, you know, it was like, this is happening.
Yeah. And I think in terms of parenting, the not wanting to go home is complex because you love your kid. And most parents who are parenting complex kids are like tenacious about their kids, right? They're like always fighting for them and advocating for them. And yet sometimes you're part of the thing you need to advocate against, or you know what I mean? You don't have the energy, like you went to work all day and then you're coming home. And I mean, this happened yesterday. I had a really, really hard day at work and I just, I had to tell him, I was like, I need just some time. Like I'm not emotionally regulating myself very well. And I need to just have a little break so that I can go and come back to this. And I think the difference though for us with this podcast is and she says it from a parenting perspective of like parent from inspiration, not desperation. And I think before it was sort of desperation that we were coming from because it was like, well, it's futile, it's hopeless, like we can't, there's nothing to be done about it or something, versus like when we're curious, then the inspiration can come. Like, well, did you try that? Like what? Well, why is it that way? Or like what, I mean, you start having these conversations and it becomes something much, I think, different, and it doesn't feel as desperate and alone.
And I like how she says, like, the clearer you can get on your challenges, the better you can address them. And I was thinking about the fact that, Brian had just found out that he got this diagnosis.
Yeah, it's huge.
He's ADHD. And he's in the process of retiring from the military, and they have this internship program that they can do. But you have to apply for these internships. So it's a lot like, your kids are going through like
college
applying for schools
or
and
something,
all.
Right?
Yeah. And again, I am not his parent,
but
so that's not
you're
my
his
role.
spouse.
But like,
you're in his life. Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm wanting to like help him because I understand what he's going through. And so to help him, so we're sitting there and we found this like great internship opportunity for him. It like fit him to a glove and he was super excited about it. Like laser focused, like did the whole like hyper focused ADHD thing. And I realized like he just needed someone to body and mirror with him. Because he's like, Meg, could you help me figure this stuff out? And so at the very beginning, I'm like trying to talk to him and like, okay, well, what about this? And what about that? And then I see he's getting frustrated. And I was like, oh, so then I thought like I should be curious. And I realized I was like, he doesn't need me to actually physically say anything. So I went and I got my iPad and just started working on my drawings. And I was like, I just sat there and we worked on it until 3 a.m. in the morning.
Wow.
And we got it done and he got the internship, you guys. Woo! It's so exciting.
Brian.
He's a rock star.
Yay.
And it's such a good fit for him. And I then the next morning went to Mom and I said, I am so sorry for all of the nights that you went to work and I asked you to help me fix the grammar of my report at 11 o'clock at night or midnight. Cause I think I had worked like all day and I had been doing all this stuff with Mom. Like we've been working on the house and then Brian, this is what happened with Brian. So like I'm exhausted, but I was like, this is what he needs. He needs help just to be body mirroring. And I was like, yep, I'm going to do that. Cause I believe in him. But I was like, oh my God, Mom, I'm so sorry. And I don't know if I've ever told you this, Michelle, but like, the whole reason I decided I never wanted to have children was because I knew how hard of a child I was. And that I would have to do it
for
them. I'd have to sit up at 3 o'clock in the morning
and grade their
helping
paper.
someone grade a paper. And then
God,
I was like, well,
so funny.
One way or another, it all comes back.
It's so funny because I think as you're talking about this, you're saying like, figuring out what your challenge areas are and that you can't do it all at once. And And I think also like one of the things you're talking about, she's going to start up with in chapter 2. I just started listening to it today. And so you're really like leading into that, which is at different developmental stages, people need different amounts of help. And having that conversation of like, okay, you're asking me for help. Like, what do you mean by that? Like, what would that, and like you just said, you were curious and maybe you didn't even ask him, but you just noted and then made an adjustment. But that idea that, you know, I remember telling Josh, like, I think we need to negotiate, like, what do you need from me still? And, you know, he's 18, but when he was 7, you know, it was a different story and he needed more of me. And so, you know, as you're looking at this as a parent and from like, you know, your own parenting your inner child, but as like a parent to like a young kid, figuring out like which problem areas I think for any of us is good to start with one and just figure out like, is emotional regulation, are they having tantrums? Is that the place you need to start? You know, is there just stuff strewn about and they're a little bit older maybe. And so the organization piece might be something that you want to figure out. And do you want to also like figure out is, you know, they're school age now. So does that impact them in some ways when they're out of their routines and you want to kind of think through that piece of it? Or is the logistics of routines the hard part, you know, or is it relationships or the family or the siblings? Like there's so many places where this can get impacted. And so you have to pick something to start with. And she says in the next chapter, so I'm just giving this little tidbit for anybody who's a parent, because I was struggling today earlier. And when I heard this, as I was walking through Costco, finally, because I got there at the right time. Okay. Apparently I didn't know there's a whole subculture of Costco. I didn't understand. I don't go very often. So I didn't realize you can't go till 9:30 on Saturdays if you're not a premium member. Okay. So I learned this anyway, but that picking one thing and targeting, aiming at that one thing is part of this impact model that she's going to talk to us about in the book. Pick one thing that you're going to kind of focus in on. So for me, I realized that the focus needed to be currently this idea of logistics. And so setting a weekly meeting was something that I realized I wanted to do and would help me, because it really wasn't about helping him. It was about what do I need to help me so I keep that oxygen mask on myself and I don't lose it on him. And so we're like, oh, now we have a weekly meeting where we kind of set and I know what's coming up for the week. And that's my responsibility because that's my boundary. Right. And so it's not his responsibility to remember this weekly meeting. It's mine because I need it.
And I also want to make it clear to anybody who is struggling with this right now currently. It's okay if it looks messy when you start doing this, because, you know, it's easy for me to say now, okay, so Brian needed the body mirroring and I went and got my iPad, and it sounds like it was just so simple. And I want to be very frank. It was not. I threw a little bit of a tantrum and was like, well, why do you want me here if I'm not going to be doing like, I was not at my best.
Yes.
But then, you know, I think just like in the past, I would have gone and shut myself off from it. But I was like, I was so wanting to make like, I knew it was such a great opportunity for him and I didn't want to like leave him. And so you know, that was the part where it was like, okay. And I for myself as a person with ADHD had to figure out, what do I need to do to help him? And I just was like, you know what? I need to, because he needs me to be quiet. And I didn't realize he needed body mirroring until like we'd already been doing it. But I was like, he needs me to be quiet. What do I need to do to maintain quiet until he's ready for me? And so I was like, well, I need to have something physical to do. Yeah. That's why I went and got my drawings. And it actually worked out brilliantly because like I got like 3 pages sketched out, which was great. So I got a ton of work done. He got a ton of work done. And then I was able to tell him afterwards, I was like, you know, it's so interesting because I felt more connected to you in that session of body mirroring than I have in a long time. We didn't really talk too much, like, but every once in a while he'd say, hey, what do you think? And I'd be able to stop and say, and look at it. And I said, you know, it's such a different experience doing that than like if he has his headphones on and he's just like in something and is like completely drowned out of everything else. Yeah. We were still there together, maybe not talking and communicating the way that like, you know, our amazing families do all the time, but like I still felt connected to him.
Sure. Yeah.
So
and I think that concept of body mirroring, if anybody's like new to this, is just somebody sitting next to you doing work while you're doing work, right? Like you're both doing work near each other. And yeah, I mean, that's amazing.
Like
too,
mom is here right now.
Yeah.
And I've gotten more done while she's been here. And she's like, well, what do you want me to do? And I'm like, I want you just to sit there and like tell me what to do at times.
Yeah. Just be like, don't forget this. Yeah.
Yeah. She's like, but won't that be bossy? And I'm like, no,
I need
boss me around, please, please.
Oh, well, I'm excited to see where this book goes and what's next, right? I know she starts talking about kind of reframing things coming up in the end of this chapter. So that'll be kind of interesting to start with maybe next time. And one little tidbit is, one way to reframe if you're talking about somebody who's ADHD is like taking that concept of hyperactive and maybe reframing. She talks about coaching models, reframing to spontaneous. And I was like, oh, I like that. So we'll just give that little tidbit there. I'm curious if anybody in our community though has an area that they think that might be most important for them right now and what they heard, over the last couple of episodes. Cause
all these challenges.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I like that she sort of has them categorized a little bit. Not too many lists, like some books give too many lists, like you say, but this is just 6 things, like, what's really giving you the hardest part and kind of figuring out how to focus on that. So thanks for talking to me today.
Yeah. Cause I think well, I'm glad to talk to you too.
Oh.
And I'm thinking just as like when we think about all of these challenges, like the clearer you can be on your challenges, the better you can address them.
True.
And as a person with ADHD or as a kid or a parent who's as a person with complex conditions and as a parent who is raising complex kids, it may not be fun to look at these challenges and have to address them.
Yeah.
And it might be hard because like I hate lists, but like actually the more we go through this, and even this time I'm like, Michelle, we have to like go back through the list. And you're like, but do you want to? And I was like, yes, we do. We need to go back through the list because the clearer you can get on which challenges you have, the better you can address them.
Right.
And that's what I've picked up from this first chapter.
I agree. And I think that for me right now, it's logistics. When he was little, it was emotion management. Organization. Again, it almost hits chronologically, developmentally for me. Once he got to school, the organization piece became huge. Now we're dealing with the logistics, but also this idea of our relationship and who am I to him now? And what am I supposed to be keeping and what am I supposed to be letting go of? And that's constant throughout their life, but for sure. And I think in terms of us, I think that there's pieces of this that are true about our relationship and our podcast and how much are you doing versus how much am I doing? And it's interesting. And so I think there's a lot of levels to this if you really let yourself think about it. But thinking about it can be really hard. And not doing it alone is important and being part of a community of people who can also support you. So we appreciate all of you guys who are listening. And, we always try to stop the podcast and then sometimes we just start it again because that's what we do. It's how we do.
Yeah. Cause like my producer brain was like, wait, I want to wrap this up for myself. I need to finish the loop so I can move on to the next chapter.
Okay. Well, I love you.
I love you too.
Bye.
Bye. Thanks for listening to the Spicy Brain Podcast brought to you by Spicy Brain Studios. This week, we wrapped up the 6 challenges of raising a complex kid, and I only went off on a few tangents. So go me! Next week, we'll finish the chapter by looking at what you want to improve. We'll learn to reframe how you see it, and then focus on what's actually possible. This is all about being practical in your optimism and learning to see obstacles without shame or fear. So as long as I don't derail us too much, we'll get through it all. I promise. Make sure to follow or subscribe on your favorite podcast app. And if you're enjoying the show, again, leave us a review. It really helps Neurospicy folks find their way here. But until then, here's to a great end of the week. And remember to stay curious
and joyful.
And remember, radical acceptance. High kick. Okay.